Hey, it's Carly here from Tribe. I'm wearing this little ear clip at the moment, which is a heart rate monitor and attaches to a little Bluetooth transmitter that I can connect to an app on my phone that measures the space between my heartbeats, and in particular measures how much my heart is consistently in a pattern of speeding up and slowing down. And when my heart produces a consistent pattern like this, it's known as a state of heart coherence. And there's a lot of really super interesting science about this, particularly popularized by the Heart Math Institute. And it's connected to a bunch of really interesting results associated with different dimensions of human performance. You know, it's used quite a lot in sports recovery and knowing when people can start to train after kind of been training quite hard. But it's also correlated with emotion. So when we're in states of appreciation, essentially we are in higher states of heart rate coherence. And when we're in states of dysregulation in some form, stress, it will have us have erratic heartbeats essentially. It's a technology that I've played with for quite a few years now, and I've found it super valuable, and I really enjoy playing with. I play with this device most days, and I've started using it as part of coaching that I do, and I've actually started selling these devices. I'm about to. But there's some really interesting kind of insights that I've gained from playing with this technology. You know, one, firstly, is just how much of a difference it makes. So when I'm in a state of heart rate coherence, my heart starts feeling just so beautifully warm and large. And I just start feeling so much more sense of lubrication in my being. And of course, this has a massive impact on our environment and the people that we're around. And this has kind of been shown quite empirically that that the electromagnetic field of the heart, which is way, way, way more powerful than anything else in the body, then washes out across the body and across other people. And our emotional states are contagious, right? So learning how to actually generate states of appreciation and positivity starts to wash out across the people around us. And it's one of the things that I want to practice and teach more of, so that we can all just positively impact each other and all bring each other into states of appreciation. So that's been kind of one awesome thing to play with, and something I just want to keep really getting good at. The other piece that's really interesting for me, that's become a bit of a metaphor for me, is in watching my heart rate and the score that I get when I'm playing with this device. Sometimes it can be super hard to actually get a good score. The times that I quite often find it most valuable to play with this is actually when I've been triggered somehow. I'm stressed about something, and it can just take me a long time to get into a state of coherence. And firstly, that was pretty confronting after having done years of work on myself and meditative practice, and I thought that I'd be able to pretty easily generate this state of heart coherence, which totally is not the case. Sometimes it's easy, and a lot of the time it isn't. It really depends on what kind of state I'm in. So that was really interesting to see, and had me start to hone my attention into a lot more of the subtleties of my system, and what would happen for me. But then the piece that became really interesting to me is that when I would get feedback from this device that showed that I wasn't able to go into a state of coherence, a lot of the time, and this is still true, I will start to feel frustrated. I'd just be why can't I get this thing to go into this higher score, this kind of green zone of coherence? And of course, this frustration actually made it harder for me to produce the state of coherence. And this has become a bit of a metaphor for me. And it's a metaphor around generally just like receiving feedback on results that I don't like. So I think it's just really easy to get kind of disheartened by that kind of feedback, or go into like states of collapse, and particularly for me, as I've realized working myself a lot, that I've actually had quite a lot of low self-esteem, and essentially my low self-esteem would have me start to feel like somehow I was like not capable, I wasn't like an effective person. So what the metaphor started to become is like, what is it to actually be able to decouple myself from the feedback that I'm getting, so that I'm not actually collapsing in that feedback. I'm not somehow becoming insecure and feeling bad about myself in that feedback. Instead, I'm just taking it as, I'm getting this kind of result in my life, with getting this kind of result, in this case, using this device. It's not the result that I want to be getting. So instead, how do I actually like decouple myself from that and focus instead on the things that are actually going to have me create the results that I want? So in the case of generating heart rate coherence, it's about having a consistent breathing pattern. It's about starting to just kind of feel that sense of positivity and appreciation in my heart. And this has really been the biggest learning for me in playing with this device, is like, particularly if I'm in those states of feeling stressed or triggered somehow, how do I find this kind of space inside myself where I can kind of detach? I can still be receiving the feedback, but I can actually detach from it and deepen in myself. My experience of this doing this practice is that I find this place of like, actually what's really important to me. Like I find I'd like deepen in my heart, and there's like this space of like warmth and openness and kind of this importance and care that I start to feel. And it took me a while to start to kind of, and I'm still in the process of actually learning how to find that place in myself, particularly if I am feeling frustrated by something that's going on for me, such that I can come back to actually the states that I want to produce. So this then as a metaphor of like, if I'm not getting a result that I want, rather than collapsing because I'm not getting the result, I'm getting some feedback that's telling me that, how do I instead detach, find this place of actually what is truly important to me, and what is it that I actually want, and how do I focus on actually generating that, rather than actually being frustrated by whatever's going on. And of course this is like true, I think, across all the results that we get in our lives, and particularly for feedback that we might be getting from other people. So it's become a really important metaphor and practice for me. So I hope that makes sense. And as with all these videos, I'm kind of always would love to hear how this has impacted you, and how maybe what I'm saying actually is true for you in your own lives or in your own ways. Great. I see a hello here from Karen. Hello, Karen. Thanks for watching. Good night.